This is Optimal Work Daily, episode 1055, Feeling Like a Fraud? How to Identify Impostor Syndrome by Sara Stanizai of ProspectTherapy.com. And hey again, I'm Dan. I'm your host and narrator here, and thanks so much for joining me today. We're going to get right to it now as we hear from Sara and start optimizing your life. Feeling Like a Fraud? How to Identify Impostor Syndrome by Sara Stanizai of ProspectTherapy.com. Do you feel awkward when someone compliments you? Do you sit there uncomfortably when you're praised at work? Are you ready with several reasons to downplay a simple achievement? It's okay. Many people can be socially awkward from time to time. It's normal to experience periods of self-doubt in our lives. It's natural and healthy to second-guess ourselves sometimes too. However, if you find yourself continually living in a state of self-doubt, this could be indicative of a pattern of thoughts, feelings, and behaviors referred to as impostor syndrome. It can show up in different people in different ways, and therefore it can be difficult to tell if you may be experiencing it. If you feel like a fraud most days and have anxiety that at any moment you can lose it all, it may be worth taking a closer look. What is impostor syndrome? Impostor syndrome is the personal belief that you may not be as qualified or successful as others may perceive you to be. Essentially, you internalize the idea that you are a fraud of sorts, not qualified to be doing what you're doing. Maybe you feel in over your head at work, even though they keep telling you you're actually doing a pretty good job. Maybe you feel like your friends are just one missed call or canceled event away from freezing you out, even though they keep inviting you to hang out. Maybe you feel like a disappointment because you aren't where you quote-unquote should be in your career, relationship, or living situation, even though your family tells you how proud they are of you. Often, those with imposter syndrome fear that their peers or colleagues may catch on at any time. The important thing about imposter syndrome, rather than just regular anxiety or self-esteem issues, is that despite fears of being inadequate, you are wholly qualified to be doing what you're doing. People with imposter syndrome also tend to overlook or cheapen their accomplishments. This approach only further perpetuates their mentality that they aren't as successful as others think they are. What causes imposter syndrome? There is not a definitive answer to this question. However, individual experiences in our childhood or adolescence can make us more inclined to habitually second-guess ourselves. Perhaps you grew up excelling at school from a young age and were praised continuously for it. You got used to getting good grades and lots of positive feedback. At a certain point, maybe school became quite tricky. Or perhaps as your classes became more challenging, you started to fall behind. This change from being so successful to struggling in academics can easily cause feelings of uncertainty. Furthermore, maybe your parents would praise you highly one day but harshly critique you the next. This kind of confusing environment creates an inner conflict that can easily cause self-doubt. You don't know whether to try harder or to just give up. Once something becomes difficult now, do you double down on your efforts motivated by anxiety, or do you give up because you get frustrated when your results aren't perfect the first time, motivated by shame? Either way, you might have imposter syndrome. Symptoms of imposter syndrome. The most common symptom of imposter syndrome is chronic self-doubt. Despite performing well at work, you may still question how you got the job in the first place. You likely compare yourself to your coworkers and see them as being more qualified than you. If you get assigned as the leader of a project, this may worsen your anxiety about performing well and proving yourself. Your past accomplishments may seem insignificant to you, or you may feel as if you somehow faked your way through getting those as well. What may start as self-doubt can easily resemble imposter syndrome over time, particularly if the self-doubt becomes chronic and unrelenting, and if there is evidence that you are actually qualified and competent. Imposter syndrome and anxiety. Imposter syndrome goes hand in hand with anxiety and shame. It is one thing to feel unqualified but not really worry about it. On the other hand, you might think not only are you bad at what you do, but you are a bad person because of that. Where someone else might cut themselves some slack while they inch up the learning curve, you take your deficits personally. Anxiety takes imposter syndrome to a new level of worry and fear. Another significant factor in imposter syndrome is not necessarily just feeling unqualified, but it's the fear that your coworkers or boss might catch on. This anxiety is debilitating and can negatively impact your work performance and general happiness. It is normal to experience some anxiety in our day-to-day lives. However, when it gets to the point of becoming all-consuming and debilitating, it needs to be examined more seriously. Overcoming Impostor Syndrome. Impostor syndrome is quite common for adults to experience at least once in their lives. If you've listened through this article and feel you're suffering from impostor syndrome, no need to panic. You can overcome the symptoms with self-awareness and perhaps a little outside help. Also, it's essential to look at your accomplishments and tell yourself that they are real and valid. You got that job for a reason. You received that promotion for a reason. People want to be around you because of you. It is easy to tell ourselves these things, but the key to overcoming impostor syndrome is to believe and internalize them. A therapist can help you work through feelings of self-doubt. They can also help you figure out what the roots of such beliefs are and how to avoid these issues from coming back up in the future. The most important thing to remember, however, is that you are qualified. You have excelled in your life, and you're doing the best you can. You are not alone in your struggle with impostor syndrome, and once you recognize the symptoms within yourself, the sooner you can begin to overcome them. You just listened to the post titled, "Feeling Like a Fraud? How to Identify Impostor Syndrome" by Sara Stanizai of ProspectTherapy.com. I have good news for any of you successful business owners who are looking to streamline your workflow. Our sponsor, NetSuite by Oracle, just rolled out the best offer we've ever seen. NetSuite gives your business everything you need to reduce manual processes, boost efficiency, and increase productivity across every department. So I just love that you're not only getting visibility and control, but also the power that comes with having all your information in one place. And for the first time in NetSuite's 22 years as the #1 cloud financial system, you can defer payments of a full NetSuite implementation for 6 months. That's no payment and no interest for 6 months. It's time to join the more than 36,000 companies that have already upgraded to NetSuite. If you've been sizing NetSuite up to make the switch, then you know this deal is unprecedented. No interest, no payments. Take advantage of this special financing offer at netsuite.com/startup. netsuite.com/startup to get the visibility and control you need to weather any storm. netsuite.com/startup. Feel like you'd love a wholesome, homemade meal, but there's just not enough time? With all the commitments of fall right around the corner, we're happy to bring you a way to save your time and your health. Introducing HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. With HelloFresh, all you need is 15 minutes, and you'll be enjoying a tasty, satisfying meal made in your own kitchen. Just look for their quick and easy dinner options, plus quick breakfasts and lunches too. HelloFresh keeps your taste buds on their toes with 40 chef-crafted recipes to select from every week. It's 25% cheaper than takeout and less expensive than grocery shopping too. Just choose your recipes and receive fresh, pre-portioned ingredients so you can get cooking quick. And my favorite part? HelloFresh is actually an environmentally friendly choice. They provide pre-portioned ingredients, which helps to cut down on food waste. So go to hellofresh.com/OSD50 and use code OSD50 for 50% off plus free shipping. Go to hellofresh.com/OSD50 and use code OSD50 for 50% off plus free shipping. And thank you so much to Sara for letting us share her work today. Sara spent years working in nonprofits and agencies trying to feel cool wearing business casual slacks and those trademark work flats. You know the ones. She hid her weirdness, lightened up her humor, and ate sad office birthday cake at least once a month. She was good at her job. She made friends, she learned a lot, but she didn't realize how much of herself she was putting away between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. She didn't know what she was missing. Since starting Prospect Therapy, she's learned firsthand that the more herself she is, the more successful she is, as a therapist, a leader, and as a business owner. It helps her connect with her clients and lets them know they can be real too. This is at the core of what she talks about with her clients. Being yourself is a gift. You can find more great posts from Sara at ProspectTherapy.com. And again, thanks so much to Sara for letting us share her work across several of our Optimal shows. Okay, that's going to do it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it and that you're having a great day. And I'll be back here again with you tomorrow, where your optimal life awaits.